你先坐一下，我给你倒点热水。
No way, that's how they translated it. A couple years ago, we took a look at Love is All Around, a blisteringly successful dating sim that came out of China. Utilizing the very best in FMV technologies, Love is All Around crafted a game so eye-wateringly beautiful that it rose to the top of the sales charts and became a smash hit. As we covered in that video, it also kind of fucking sucked. While the visual presentation is about as good as can be, it was a lackluster example of a dating sim mechanically, failed to have the writing or romantic strengths of anything in the surrounding genre, and also just kind of carried some misogynistic or objectifying baggage along with it. But even if I did not see the game as a critical success, the commercial success cannot be denied. And when you have a commercial success on the level of Love is All Around, then something happens. Everyone wants in on the gravy train. It did not take long for other Chinese developers to walk in the path of Love is All Around, offering their own FMV harem dating sim-esque experience in an attempt to cash in on the popularity. And this isn't conjecture. Reportedly, the success of Love is All Around sparked investor interest in the genre. I cannot emphasize enough that this game was a very big fucking deal. And honestly, this trend-chasing explosion is important to see happen. This is what breeds innovation and experimentation. Love is All Around was gigantic, but as a game, it had very obvious shortcomings. It was the trailblazer. The rest of the games bringing up the rear could be releases that refine the path instead of cutting new pathways. Today we are looking at a number of the FMV dating sims that have released since Love is All Around, and I am looking at them with genuine excitement because it is entirely realistic that someone comes through and delivers on this premise. Yeah, I mean, either that or they are all more derivative garbage. I guess there's only one way to know. Oh fuck, I gotta pronounce Chinese names again.
我们就这么干打，是有点无聊啊。
哦，要不然咱们加一点筹码。
打腿麻将吧，我还没。
Hold on, I know a lot about this subject. It's a little hard to pin this down, especially since I'm a Midwestern white dude trying to examine a Chinese gaming boom. But Knowledge or No Lady seems to be the first game to succeed post Love is All Around. Just based on its release date and what sort of reviews I can source, it looks like it was next up to bat. Knowledge or No Lady, also seemingly titled Ladies School Prince, puts you in the shoes of Lin Fan, the literal only male at this otherwise entirely girls-only university. You have 6 girls in your orbit this evening: Avril Lin, the girl next doorish classmate holding a secret identity; Serena Wan, the teasing pouty goblin, oh my god, we have a goblin on our hands here, like red alert goblin warning; Ada Wuyong, the school's doting doe-eyed doctor; Leah Bai, the kinda uptight upperclassman who, would you believe this, is a tsundere; and Nikita Zhao, the badass biker girl slash MMA fighter slash Jesus Christ, she's so cool.
I love the kind of woman that can kick my ass.
These names might be just a tad localized, just a hunch on my part. There's also Nico, the blonde foreigner, who is missed not appearing in this game. Yeah, despite being framed as one of the main 6 girls, Nico has like a fraction of the screen time. She is not on par with everyone here, sadly. Alright, there's your terms. Get out there, champ, you know the routine. So what sets Knowledge or No Lady apart from Love is All Around? Well, for starters, fucking nothing. The foundation of Knowledge or No Lady is cast in the exact same mold as Love is All Around, to the point where it feels kind of uncanny. Did you do something a girl liked? The little heart icon goes up in the exact same corner as before. Want to see the route you were on and the choices you made? Don't be shocked when you use the exact same flowchart to track all that. Getting a quick breather to catch up on the current cast. Here's the exact same cell phone sequence. It is using Love is All Around as a pretty strong base, which is fine because this game still does things to separate itself, but sometimes it feels like you are playing an unofficial sequel with how closely tied certain things are. But in terms of new ideas, Knowledge or No Lady at least has something to add to the pot. During your romp around the university, there are items you can interact with and take. These actually have use to them, as some dialogue choices are locked away unless you have the item they require. These can be pretty important choices to boot. There were a number of times where the choice I wanted required an item I didn't have, and the game told me what chapter I needed to go back to so I could find it. I think this works really well. Knowledge or No Lady has the same type of affection meter for all the girls as Love is All Around, but despite maintaining the same chapter structure, it does not have an end of chapter affection check. I was, however, walled off from some ending choices because I lacked an item and enough affection. You are properly incentivized to scour through the game again, not only to pump your affections, but also to find the necessary keys for unlocking more of the options. This may feel like damning with light praise, but it actually feels like a game. When you get to the end of a route and you lack the affection and the items required to see the good end, which is not a trivial amount, you need to put in some actual effort here. It's like, oh shit, like a real dating sim. Let me try again and do better. And with that as a launchpad, I think that despite how much Knowledge or No Lady is swagger jacking Love is All Around's entire flow, I like this game a lot more. I think the only thing it does worse than Love is All Around is that it feels like there are more awkward cuts, sometimes with a distracting and maybe not always properly timed fade to black to set up the next one. But I think this is in service of having more choices happen during the game and needing to cut back to a neutral scene when done. It feels like this game lacks as many long shot scenes as Love is All Around had, lending itself to this pacing that Knowledge or No Lady is a bit more of quick hits, although it does lack that freeze frame that Love is All Around had. What benefits this more quick hit scenes and rapid fire scenario style is that the game isn't trying as hard to connect the dots. Lin Fan does not have much of a pre-baked personality outside of his gender, nor is he doing the multiversal couch hop. He has his own apartment that the game uses as a central location, and that honestly works really well for the way this game is laid out. Because the ping-ponging between girls is so much more chaotic and less focused by chapter, you get more of this slice of life feel to the pace of the story. Shit just happens to this dude, and the amount of shit happening lends itself to not suffering the weight of a chained together story. Again, I was wondering how many or few jobs and places to sleep Guye had at any given moment. Lin Fan rolls with the punches, chases who he can when able, and is otherwise having a harem adventure where cute girls do cute things. He might be a bit of a doofus, but throughout your more positive choices, it seems like he's an attractive, reliable, and charismatic guy. Shit, he throws hands multiple times throughout the game to save girls from persistent, unwelcome pursuers. It is at least somewhat believable the ladies would fall for this dude. Likewise, that slice of life feeling alleviates the problem Love is All Around struggled with, where every chapter ends the same. That still happens here, but because the scenarios are more frequent, less solely focused on one girl, and devoid of a more narrative through line, you don't get as much of a sense of constraint. Especially in the last couple chapters where you start encountering instances of the girls being written away to not clog the game, or perfectly logical chances at early endings. This isn't groundbreaking, but it is just a little bit more, and I think that's the thesis for this game. Knowledge or No Lady is able to just punch everything up a touch. The pacing is punchier, the script is punchier, the scenarios are punchier, the characters are punchier, the gameplay is punchier, the trashiness is punchier, and the humor is much, much punchier. This game is actually funny. I legitimately had times where I laughed during the misadventures. Nikita being bad around the house is kind of a basic woman red flag joke, but her acting nails it and it had me cackling.
潇潇，这些事儿还是让我来吧。
放心，这次我保证洗得干干净净。咁先乾淨㗎嘛。
Likewise, the end game final selection moment is your friend inviting you out to drink so he can complain about the fact that he has 6 hotties orbiting him and he doesn't know how to choose. Honestly, the acting in general is much better in this game. It feels like there was a more conscious effort in directing the cast, and the actors themselves had their working boots on. Everyone, well, maybe not everyone, has the charisma needed to sell the experience. In lieu of a better story, which Knowledge or No Lady does not magically improve on over Love is All Around, this game cranks the dial on hijinks. Forming a school club that investigates a legitimately scary part of the school at dark? Check. Discovering the overbearing school representative works at a maid cafe and sucks at her job? Check. Collaborative storytelling that has the cast dolled up in traditionalist garb? Check. Also, give it up for this fucking guy at the gym. My brother, what are you doing with that form? There are more scenarios for the cast to bounce their personalities off of, and they feel more lively as a result. Well, other than Ada. I can't skate around this any longer. Everyone else is pretty exciting to goof off with, and Ada is just tits nurse with the tits. And that's not me being crass. You are going to spend a ridiculous amount of time looking down Ada's shirt. Her role in the game is to just have boobs. Again, I mentioned the trashiness was punched up as well. Writing about this game without starting every sentence with like/unlike love is all around, comma, feels nearly impossible. Knowledge or No Lady is cribbing its entire steez. It occasionally borders on embarrassing or copyright encroaching when you see how many similarities there are. But the meat of the content could not be more different. Knowledge or No Lady may showcase that Love is All Around's production was not as easily matched as one might have thought in isolation, but it also lays bare how shallow and flat Love is All Around's story and characters are. Is this a full-throated recommendation? Maybe not exactly, but it does feel like a much better execution of what Love is All Around was trying to do. You know what? Fuck it. Yeah, try this out. You might very well enjoy your time. I enjoyed mine. I actually went through to get all the endings. Something I cannot say about Love is All Around. I kind of debated back and forth on if I was actually going to call this video the Chinese FMV explosion, because that's true, but it's not entirely true. The genre boom is happening outside China too. Case in point, 5 Hearts Under One Roof is a South Korean production, very obviously in the Love is All Around style. You know the rules by now, it's down to the exact same details. Here's another cell phone segment for all of you keeping track at home. The biggest problem with this game is that it's just Love is All Around South Korean edition, and Love is All Around is not very good, so you'll be shocked to hear 5 Hearts Under One Roof is not very good. This time you play as Yuman. His parents are away on some sort of long-term trip, and he is instructed to open up the spare bedrooms in the family house for rent. Through movements that will make you groan to the grave, you become the boarding house manager as 4 girls begin living in your crib. Your childhood friends... Oh, fuck, I need to start seeing Korean names now. Malsu, the part-time K-pop idol and part-time part-timer Mingjung, the breasting boobly office siren Guran, and Malsu's little sister who has a childhood crush complex on Yuman, Yunbi. That crush sure is mysterious, because by all accounts, Yuman suffers from a terminal case of fucking unattractive loser syndrome. Yeah, that's right, baby, let's do it all again. A bunch of girls stuck in your orbit for no discernible reason. It's honestly kind of impressive how 5 Hearts just runs the same playbook but copied into another language. It's contrived, cringe, lackluster, paced awkwardly, narratively nonsensical, and it even has that hysterical moment where you unlock behind the scenes footage and the girls have infinitely more personality. Fucking get a load of Yunbi's actress saying Yuman can go kick rocks because she would rather date Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen. It sounds analytically bereft to just say that this is Love is All Around again, but in so many ways, they are, intentionally or not, performing the exact same actions as their influence down to some granular details. It does have its highlights on occasion. I love Guran the office siren because she wishes she was anywhere else but here. She's so fucking fed up with this. I think it's very comical that she finds herself in this situation and is just constantly over it. Girl, log in! That presentation is due at noon! Sure, you can pursue her and she'll warm up to you, but fuck that. I want her to hate me. That is way more entertaining. But if you can believe it, I am burying the lead of the century here, because there is a 5th girl. The 5 Hearts Under One Roof does not include you. At the very beginning of the game, the stairs to the attic are gated off as Yuman muses aloud that his mother said he was forbidden to go up there. At the end of Chapter 3, it is revealed that someone was living up there the whole time. Sung-yi is a destitute young girl that Yuman's mother took in. She has not left the house, she only leaves the room at night when everyone is sleeping, and she may or may not be developmentally challenged to some degree. This is fucking bananas! There is a level of gravity to this pitch that 5 Hearts simply does not have the smarts to deal with. You can't be like, oh, who do you want to date? Your childhood friend, the 9 to 5 vixen, or the girl living in your walls? Like, the game tries to be whimsical about this, and you can't! Seong-gi is played like this cute and maybe mentally innocent girl, and it goes down about as smoothly as one would think. This actress is trying her hardest to make this bouncy and bubbly persona come out from seeing so much of the world for the first time, but it's baffling trying to treat this like any other character. And they do! She just gets added to the shuffle. You never learn anything about her. You can't just drop her into the game like this and expect me not to lose my mind. Where did she come from? What happened to her? Like, fucking hello? But no, this game is just as shallow, honestly even more shallow, than Love Is All Around. None of the girls have anything resembling a story around them. They just show up to your house, have a few goofs, and then magically wake up deciding they like you more than they did previously. What an utterly boneless experience. It feels like they did not try to actually wrangle enough connective material together to make this experience flow from scenario to scenario, nor did they craft out enough scenarios with the concepts at hand. Everything feels thin, disconnected, unbelievable, and pandering. If it wasn't for the fucking insanity that is Seong-gi, then this would be a dumpster fire. I mean, it still is a dumpster fire, but at least the flames are a bit more of an interesting color. Does anyone turn on their computers around here? I think this scene sums up 5 Hearts perfectly. If you don't care enough to try and make this small office believable, and you don't care enough to try and make many other things believable, then why should I expect to believe in the experience you are trying to make? Get out of here, man. Nikkei got us a victory looking real different after that port to consoles. Of all the games on this list, Hello Love 18 Again was the one I had the most hope for. Not to put on my best Kyle Bossman, but the trailer for this game immediately struck me as something I should pay attention to. Just watch this for a little bit.
你还记得小时候我们一起抓蝴蝶吗？
Maybe you need to experience more of these games for yourself, but this is something that came across as immediately different. Typically, there's more of a happy pop sugary rom-com tone going on. Get the players in the door with the cute aesthetics and the cuter girls. But 18 Again is pulling for something different. This trailer comes across as a much more dramatic romance. The song is tugging more at the heartstrings. The shots selected are not comedic. And the videography frequently shows this elevated level of fantasy by having that kind of Vaseline filter where the light looks softer and brighter and warmer. This is different. I was convinced that this would be the game that was going to take the Love Is All Around formula and try to give it a serious romance story. You play as Li Tao, a salaryman who is honestly not doing too bad. His work is not great and he's paid poorly, but he's thankful to still be employed, and he has an adorable kitty and 2 Famicoms, so you know what, he could be doing a lot worse. Still, he's a bit run ragged by the world, and during his friend's attempt to set him up with a blind date, he gets isekai'd by a truck. When Li Tao wakes up, he realizes it's 2017. He's 18 years old again, and back in his university days. The professor gets a little catgirlish and explains that the spirit of his adorable kitty is using one of their 9 lives to send Li Tao back. He has 30 days to find true love, or else he dies. Oh, and also he can't tell anyone that he's a time traveler, or else he dies too. No, seriously, if you spill the beans, the Temu Men in Black take you away to the bad ending dimension. The 5 women who unknowingly hold your life in their hands are Yueru. Oh, this is the worst name. I'm having a really bad time with this one. The professor we just saw get catgirled. Sheng Mengzhua, the school idol, like lowercase I idol. A talented musician who every guy on campus dreams of being with. Su Xiaoxiao, the assertive and flirty cheerleader who takes zero shit from anyone in a I'm hot and I know it way. Shu Yao, the cutesy and youthful childhood friend of Li Tao's. And Su Xiaxia, oh god damn it. And Su Xiaxia, Li Tao's boss from his original timeline and someone who was built in a lab as a weapon to surpass girl bossing. Your dorm roommate, Zhao Zhao, also plays a heavy role in this game, and I just gotta give it up to this guy's actor. Zhao Zhao is a loyal friend, but otherwise a sniveling, pathetic loser weeaboo. This guy's acting it out like his life is on the line. He steals many a scene that he's in. The production is like a step backwards and a massive step forwards. Not only does this game have the freeze after choices, but I actually encountered some hitching during regular playback. Hell, I even had a crash once. There's also the matter of the translation. Many of these games have a bit scuffy translation, but 18 again seems to be getting it worse than others. Gendered titles are beefed constantly, phrasing is awkward, there's a fair amount of reading between the lines that needs to take place. It might not even be a strictly translation issue, but there seems to be a lot of nicknames or informal titles being passed around that I lack the cultural know-how to identify. Speaking of cultural know-how and identification, best of luck to you when you have to play the game of charades in Chinese. In fairness, I don't know how you would localize that. The flip side is that the actual video production is maybe some of the best I've seen in these games. This scene at the cafe with Chu Yao kind of blew me away. If you have a keen ear, then you've sussed out that many of these games are ADR'd. Some games even have behind the scenes footage to confirm it. 18 again does this too, but the ambient sounds in the cafe are almost perfect. There's a white noise of bustle buried deep in the mix, and when people get up to move in the background, you get sneaker squeaks on their movement. This is some pro shit audio work. I was highly impressed by just how good the nitty-gritty of the production is. Okay, enough with the generalities. This game fucking rocks! 18 again is exactly what I want out of these games. An earnest romance game that does more than offer stock standard character options and fills the rest of the runtime with eye contact and cleavage. The girls in this game are not one-dimensional tropes. They get to be well-rounded characters with more going on than their surface-level descriptions. And that sounds so basic, but it's what's been basically missing from these games. The reason I love romance stories is because they are so character-driven. Not everyone here instantly falls in love with you because you're the main character of the universe. Many of them struggle to work out their feelings, and they struggle for extremely understandable reasons. People need to have angles to them. The pluses and minuses of their personalities form the world around them and how they interact with it. Romance is character. Shrimp is bugs. Leaves is plants, dumbass. For example, Su Xiaoxiao likes One Piece. That's it. That's the whole statement. She is not so shallow of a character that her enjoyment of One Piece defines her. She is not the One Piece girl. She's a haughty cheerleader who has a brash streak of confidence because she knows she's hot. She likes being teasing and playful because her confidence allows her to wrap people around her finger. She likes it when Li Tao stands up and teases her back, being playful and kind instead of just a passive target. She's also bullied. Her status as a star cheerleader marks her as a target. Other girls try to take her down. She's frequently fighting off the rumor mill. She plays it off, calling it a curse of beauty, but you can tell that on some level it probably wears on her. She likes you, but she's a little guarded because she's not an idiot. She can tell she's not the only girl with eyes for you. Su Xiaoxiao is all those things and more. She doesn't need liking One Piece to be a load-bearing part of her personality. It simply is something she enjoys. Shanks is her favorite character. This isn't isolated to Su Xiaoxiao. Su Xiaoxiao is kind of separate from the rest of the cast. Even back in the past, she's a rich and powerful businesswoman. Almost villainously so. She knows how to wield her power to get what she wants from who she wants.
贾文才是吧？
啊？
贾谊是你爹？
啊？咋了？
你说他如果知道他的儿子在这儿一掷千金的话，他会怎么想？
切，你谁呀？
我的名字你还不配知道。
She can create problems if she pleases because making problems go away is trivial to her. She also maybe hates her life. Being among the rich and powerful is awful, especially as a woman. She conscripts Li Tao to being a fake boyfriend, best romance trope if you ask me. And when you see the conceited and bigoted type of people she has to deal with, it's very obvious why there would be such friction existing in the social elites. What's interesting is how you learn all this. Your first interaction with Xu Jiajia post time travel is saving her from some powerful scumbag who's trying to take advantage of her after getting her drunk. The rest of that night, you hear her lament. You hear her wish she never grew up. You hear her call out for her mother, and then it's never really spoken of again. But as the game progresses, you get to read her interactions as a dedicated and hardworking businesswoman through that first, honest encounter. That's fucking writing, dude. I am trying, and kind of failing, to not just gush about character writing and scenarios because I want there to be more left for you to experience. It should be no surprise that I recommend playing this game. But there is one more I want to go over, and it's going to be oddly relevant 10 minutes from now. You help Yueru get back to her apartment after falling off her bike in the rain. As she changes, you see that her living space is kind of a disaster. For as much as your professor comes off like an adult with her life together, her living room is littered in instant noodles and beer cans. You've gotten a hint before that something is plaguing her, but this is confirmation that something is wrong. As you clean up her apartment, you see a stack of love letters, making it seem like a heartbreak she's been working through. You gently press Yueru on this, and the only way she can talk about it is to drink through it. She was in love once, and as the story sounds like a tale of longing for a past boyfriend, it turns into something much worse. She was a victim of a love scam. This is devastating. I was legitimately getting weepy as I watched her drink away her regrets. The pains of a broken heart are one thing. A misty-eyed recollection of a love that got away can be innocent, a pure human expression. What happened to Yueru is different. She was taken advantage of, duped into holding a damaged heart and an empty wallet. She doesn't have to turn to the camera and tell the player, "I hate myself for what happened, even if it wasn't my fault," with tears in her eyes. The visual of a broken woman drinking to stunt her emotions says it all loudly enough. This dovetails into my favorite scene in the game, which I will spoiler. Skip to this time code to avoid it. Yueru steps in her mind, to save you from a dinner with Xu Jiajia. In a gesture I don't entirely understand, but I kind of feel the sense of control behind it, Xu Jiajia overpours a glass of wine for you to drink before you leave. Yueru's way of getting you out of the situation is to, and I'm so sorry because this sounds bad said out loud, use her alcoholism for good and fucking house the glass of wine in your stead. And she's not stumbling around in the next scene. She properly tanked it and walked out sturdy because she's an alcoholic. I know this must sound silly as I try to explain it, but I found this oddly powerful. She was able to take control of a situation using one of her faults. That's really, really engaging. I'm talking a lot of fucking sugar about this game, but 18 again is far from perfect. Aside from being one of the rougher translations and having some odd technical problems, it still has a bunch of stuff I don't care for. A tad too much leering and voyeurism for my taste, maybe a couple less low-rent sex jokes would do it well. The real-life Counter-Strike section is kind of a wacky fever dream, and it goes on forever. This isn't a slam dunk 10 out of 10, but it is an example of exactly what I wanted out of this genre. Taking the formula of love is all around and expanding on it to create something bigger and better than one-dimensional eye candy and hijinks that barely elicit a chuckle. Not only does it get my recommendation, but I am now placing my faith in these creators. Developers Indelible Studio have said that this is the first part of a trilogy, and I will be seated for the other two games. There's actually a standalone spin-off epilogue they made for Yueru, and I can almost promise it will show up in this year's gaming in the current year. Hello Love 18 again may be rough around the edges, but it's a great playthrough and a showcase that this genre can offer more. It puts in the effort. I think the videography is better. I think the writing is better. I think the wit showcased is better. I think they tried to elevate this concept. Hell, the endings in this game are substantive. You are going to do an ending for a while and they are going to build as a satisfactory capstone to the stories. It feels like they looked at Love is All Around and asked, how can we do this better? I loved my time playing it, and I think it's one of the big games I would recommend. I'll be thinking of those paper airplanes for a long while. awful garbage, dog dick, whack ass, incomplete ass fucking bullshit. Time space rebuild sounds interesting. What if one of these games was a time-traveling sci-fi action adventure and you still had the girls? Why, that's all the flavors of the rainbow. It's different. Legitimately, the focus being so unique should grant the game a lot of track. Trying to stop the doomsday in the future should be an exciting twist on the formula. It is fucking incredible how bad of a job they did. The pacing here is rancid. The problem with slamming every flavor of the rainbow together in one big bucket is that it all turns brown. Not only is the game trying to spin plates, but it's doing an awful job of it. There are expository sequences that feel like they are trying to put me to sleep, or just shots that go on forever. This is to say nothing of the bad acting, the whack-ass fan service scenes that are randomly part of the path, the awful translation, etc., etc., etc. But the actual reason I stopped playing this game is far worse. This bitch has undisclosed Gen AI use. These motion graphics are extremely suspect. Do not put this shit in front of my face and expect me not to look for the smeary, melty hallmark of generative AI. Generative AI that you didn't disclose in the Steam page, which, if there was any justice in this world, would have your game nuked off the face of the earth. While Gen AI is a problem across much of the gaming landscape right now, these FMV dating sims are no stranger to this issue. There was a revolving door of games I wanted to add to this. Refate Echoes of Desire looked interesting. Gen AI. Breaker of Fatalism had more of an urban fantasy action adventure angle. Gen AI. And most importantly, I really wanted to cover Revenge on Gold Diggers. But alas, Gen AI. Despite that, we are going to talk about Revenge on Gold Diggers anyways. At least briefly. According to a popularity chart put out by the FMV Wiki tracking reviews as of December 2025, Revenge on Gold Diggers is the most reviewed game in the genre. With a staggering 45,000 reviews, it has almost 10,000 more reviews than the genre flagship Love Is All Around, and both of those games positively ether the third place and lower. Sure, the review score percentage isn't as high, but this amount of reviews means that Revenge on Gold Diggers hit like an extinction level event, which is a shame because this game might be misogynistic. I don't want to spend too long on this, mainly because I'm not playing the game, so I don't want to speak too much on it, but a game of this popularity with the topic of, well, getting revenge on gold diggers has kicked up a bit of controversy. The supporters of this game take to the angle of the game being more educational, as love scams are a notable concern in China. However, its detractors take umbrage with this being presented as a gendered issue, saving men from those dastardly and underhanded women. And let's be honest, I talked about how the player base for these games might not be the greatest in the last video, so I'm not exactly going to give this game the benefit of the doubt. But this is why I brought up Yueru in the last chapter. It was a brutal and emotional portrayal of a very real issue. To have your money stolen and your heart broken is the type of shit that ruins people. These are serious crimes being talked about, and Hello Love 18 again had the maturity to show that this is not a gendered issue, because it isn't one in the real world. So this is just a quick shot across the brow on Revenge of Gold Diggers because I don't trust it, and it might be a reminder that I am looking for better in a genre that is maybe not interested in doing any better, because they have found more than enough success as is. Tighten up that kerning, young man. So I didn't do this on purpose. I'm sure you can guess that I can't sight read traditional Chinese. But ladies, don't tempt my immortality, also possibly known by the much better name of God Bless or Goddess, is the follow-up game from the developers of Knowledge or No Lady. In fact, many of the original cast return. The actresses for Serena, Avril, and Ada are back in this Chinese mythological adventure. The setting was the whole reason I originally picked up the game, and it was just lucky happenstance that we get to talk about another game from a successful developer in this space. Speaking of that setting, make sure to buy ahead of time so you have something to hold the fuck on to. Again, they are making games for the Chinese market, and not white dorks in the American Midwest. But it doesn't wait for anyone not already familiar with the genre. This fantastical ancient Chinese setting is one that deals with the cultivation of what are basically superpowers on the path to eventually ascending to immortality, and I was able to find that out after a couple chapters of context clues. Look, I had only seen the first season of Apothecary Diaries, and there weren't any flying swords or Undertaker lightning. Actually, now that I think about it, did Undertaker make it to the nascent soul stage of cultivation, and that's why the main event of SummerSlam 95 was a fight against another Undertaker? Regardless, the start of this game is blistering. You just get dumped right into the action and have to pick up the pieces for a while. It was extremely disorienting. Almost as disorienting as all the sci-fi original movie level special effects. I'm getting ahead of myself. You play as... well, it seems to be Lin Fan again. I suppose this curse is generational, as he is once more the only male in an all-female organization. On his quest of cultivation, he is surrounded by his fellow sect members and their extremely localized names: Fox Vale, Iron Vale, Wenren Ranka, and the master of the sect, Void Ascetic. Over time, you meet a mortal from outside the sect, Flora, and a member of the rival sect, Siren. And you can learn all about them in this 90s FMV CD-ROM edutainment game ass menu. I fucking love this! The information screen where the girls animate when you hover over them, and the biography screen where they are masked onto the page in a not exactly perfect looking manner, is the one time where any of these games have felt like they are calling back to the FMV games of the 90s. This is the only part of the game that does anything like this, but I think it's extremely charming. I kind of wished it showed up more, but I understand why it does not. Anyways, if I hurried past any real descriptions of the girls, well, there's a reason for that. Ladies Don't Tempt My Immortality is made in the exact same engine as Knowledge or No Lady. Same genre-mandated root system, same item collection affecting progression. There's some new things, like successfully nailing QTEs, netting you a resource you can spend on side story cutscenes, but it's a very familiar flow. At least ancient Lin Fan doesn't have a cell phone. The friction is that Ladies Don't Tempt My Immortality feels like it wants to be more of an action-adventure fantasy tale, but the multiple girl dating sim elements are still tacked on to the side. The personalities of the cast feel much more one-note because they aren't the sole focus, because this isn't a romantic dating sim. In between cultivating your soul power to ascend to the next level, there's just a buttload of pick me, my lord choices between two or more girls with obvious, suggestive punchlines. Like, to throw this into context, one chapter features you tossed down the mountain from the sect and in the care of Flora, a local mortal. During this time, you learn her story. You learn she is a widow. You learn she is hounded by rent collectors. You learn that she is being eyed as the 7th concubine to a local lord. Something she would rather not be. There's a little story to Flora that has an individual arc. You meet her, you come to know her, you save her from those looking to capture her, and she enjoys a wonderful evening with you watching the lanterns fly. There's this adorable little line where she offers a wish as you let loose a lantern, and she doesn't tell you because it's said spilling the wish makes it not come true. She then says she wished for you to achieve your immortality, meaning she both wishes for your success in cultivation, but would personally prefer if you stayed mortal and maybe be at her side. It's a wonderful little scenario, and something that is almost entirely missing from the rest of the cast. Like, they are still there, and they still have their individual personalities, but the focus isn't exactly on them. There's still plenty of scenarios where someone is the chosen girl of the moment, but the scenario itself feels like the main focus. For example, you are permitted to visit your old hometown, and Siren joins you, as it would be improper for you to be seen alone like the meditating virgin you are, apparently, or something. And while you get to see the old haunts, you reconnect with your sister and the pharmacy she runs. You don't get to meet your brother-in-law, as he has been recovering from battle with the local sect. A vein of spiritual energy has been found near the town, and the nearest sect, the sect Siren comes from in fact, is hustling the villagers out of their homes as they attempt to take the town for themselves. Sure, this does resolve because Siren is with you, it's her sect and all, but this is not her story. It's the story of your hometown and your family, a story about how the mortals are at the whims of the sect cultivators. That's the interest, not exactly Siren. That said, there is someone who is a standout in this game. Actress Wang Han absolutely killed it as Serena in Knowledge or No Lady, and she is even better as Void Ascetic in this game. Void Ascetic is a piece of shit. She's bratty, mischievous, underhanded, sarcastic, lazy, conniving, condescending, self-centered, and overall, someone who is too much of a trouble-causing gremlin to take the responsibility of being the sect master seriously. Wang Han fucking smokes this role. In general, everyone is doing a good job with their acting, but Wang Han steals the show every time she shows up. She's overwhelmingly charismatic, and her accentuated attitude lights up every scene she shows up in. She was made to star in these games, and I'm happy to say that this isn't the last time you see her in this video. Ladies Don't Tempt My Immortality may feel like it is struggling to exist within the dating sim image it was crafted in, but I had a fine romp going through a cheesy adventure in a mythology I was unfamiliar with. A gaggle of encounters with demons and spiritual power, all wrapped up in the charm of a sci-fi original movie, is effective. I think that's a good time. Mostly. That struggle is occasionally hard to ignore, as the game doesn't always feel like it knows what it wants to be, and in the process feels like an extremely awkwardly paced and poorly flowing combination of the two. I like the mythology, I love the costuming, and I applaud that this was trying to be something different. But I found this to be a step backwards from the tightly designed Knowledge or No Lady. Ladies Don't Tempt My Immortality felt less witty, more constrained, and like it was shoring things up by adding more suggestive humor. Much like Knowledge or No Lady, the endings in this game have some requirements before you see them. But unlike Knowledge or No Lady, I did not have any motivation to go back and scour enough to get all of them. I think this game is fine, but maybe that's also the problem. Oh yeah, let's start this chapter off with a bang. Content warning, transphobia, homophobia. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that just fucking great? Here we go, bitches. The first goddamn thing you do is exit the airport after touching down in Thailand, and when talking to someone who is assumedly a sex worker waiting in the pickup area, you repeatedly ask them if they are a boy or a girl. That's so sick, dude. Let's just fucking set the tone from go. Amazing. This boggles my mind. I added Heartbeat in Thailand to the list because it seemed like it might do some things different. It lacks any sort of affection mechanic the way literally every other game does, and it's set in Thailand. Incredible that both those points immediately make the game worse, because on the first one, now it feels like it's a cheeseburger, no cheese, and on the second one, I guess that was just opening the gates to start making Thailand ladyboy jokes. I turned this game off after a couple hours because it's just like, what are we fucking doing here, dude? My hope, my fucking goal, was to possibly find this genre as more than just lowest common denominator garbage. And I think we've seen that some of the games here can rise above that. But Heartbeat in Thailand sucks. It's just crude boner comedy for the type of people who think gay sex is the joke in and of itself. I'm so far away from being the target market for this, but that doesn't absolve it as just not for me. Heartbeat in Thailand don't do shit, man. You can't be comical yet never make me laugh, romantic yet never getting me invested, or teasing without titillation that doesn't feel cringe. It has nothing. Allow me to explain this game to Americans. Imagine a burger with nothing on it. A nothing burger, if you will. And it blows because I think there's actually some halfway decent pitches here. One of the girls is a mischievous ghost who haunts the villa you're staying at. Your uncle says you need to help him sell this thing, and she's causing problems to any potential buyers who visit. Okay, yeah, you can do something with that. One of the girls is the wife of an underground organization leader, and the rival organization mistakes you for her husband. And this leads to a joke that should have had me on the floor laughing, because she says you are actually a dead ringer for her husband. He passed away and no one outside the organization knows yet, so she needs you to keep up the act while she works on the business side of things. And when you see the memorial picture of her late husband, it's a guy with a camera for a face, and you're like, oh my god, he looks just like me. That's such a good joke. What a way to know your genre. Sadly, I don't fall in for what is otherwise my favorite romance trope of fake boyfriend to boyfriend because she has to prep you for acting like her late husband, and that includes mimicking the fact that this dude couldn't stop chasing if he tried. I uninstalled. I'm not fucking with that. This was surely setting up a comedy scenario I wanted nothing to do with. Like, you have to be 12 to rock with what's going on here. Your view of romance, sexuality, and comedy has to be that of someone still waiting for puberty to kick in. I barely gave this game any rope, and it still burned through my hands in a couple hours. If you like pina coladas, if you have half a brain, and by that I mean you are mostly mentally developed and close enough to drinking age, this will have nothing for you. I've tried not to be mean about these games because I want there to be something worth seeing in them, but this is the first one where I think you just have to be pathetic to have enjoyed it. This game is the entire crux of the video. The intention was to chart what this burgeoning genre is capable of from the release of what started it all, Love Is All Around, to the release of that game's full-throated sequel, Love Is All Around 2. Now, off the back of the original success, there was some DLC, but as I famously, wow, that felt conceited to say, detailed in my video covering Love Is All Around, I kind of really don't like that game. So forgive me for not finding the prospect of DLC all that interesting. But I immediately stood up when I saw the announcement of Love Is All Around 2. They are not resting on their laurels. Love Is All Around 2 is a big budget period piece set in ancient China. Sure, ladies, Don't Tempt My Immortality may have beaten them to the punch with the ancient Chinese setting, but Love Is All Around 2 is no Zhanja cultivation fantasy story. This is played straight as a historically accurate enough tale of royalty and clans. What's more, this is not just a dating sim. It's also a mystery story. The people who flaccidly brought this genre to life are doing the one thing I wanted to see so badly. They are actually expanding and experimenting on what these FMV dating sims can really do. You play as Zhang Ye, a servant to the Jie family. But he is no simple errand boy. Zhang Ye purposely became a servant to investigate the Jie family for their possible role in losing his family to a fire he doesn't believe was accidental. Throughout the story, Zhang Ye gets bounced around multiple factions as he finds out more and more about the death of his clan and the mysterious actions that took place behind the scenes. This works really, really well, insofar that it pretty much perfectly pastes over the problems with the genre's formats. Ever since its inception, these games have had a hard time navigating their stifling linearity. Dating sims and romance VNs, the games that this genre are most closely related to, thrive on the fact that they are so open-ended. Paths and routes branch out. Focusing on romantic options open up new avenues. There is substantial story content unlocked by your choices. All things that FMV dating sims, likely due to being a videographic-focused genre instead of a text-focused one, have failed to deliver and have, at best, tried to find ways to work around. So if you are railroaded onto this format, if you are once again given 6 chapters and told to make something happen, then the way Love Is All Around 2 addresses it feels like the best implementation yet. If a linear story is what you have to work with, then give the people a linear story. Love Is All Around 2 is structurally a mystery tale first and foremost. It is through that tale that you meet and interact with the girls. When Zhang Ye gets conscripted to work for the Su family, it then checks out that he would be in the chapter focused on Su Cheng'e. It makes narrative sense that there would be some chapters with a focused girl and the rest of the roster is nowhere to be seen because that's what the story calls for. I do think that this is still a bit of making the best of a bad situation, but they are absolutely making the best out of it. That sloppy sense of wondering what was going on with Gu Ye in the original is replaced with Zhang Ye's legitimately sensical journey for answers. And with that, let's get to the girls. Su Cheng'e is a frail member of the upper class who authors romance novels under a pen name. Lu Mingye is a relative of hers, but maybe that statement should be flipped because Lu Mingye is much more important by virtue of being princess. Lu Shishi is a courtesan who, oh my god, I get to say this and not be joking, You've heard of tsundere, now get ready for a girl who actually really just doesn't like you. At all. Anying is an assassin skilled in the martial arts and completely, hopelessly, innocently naive to literally anything else. Jeke, the refined and studious head of the Je household, and making her debut appearance in this series as the only actress not originally returning from a Love Is All Around release, actress Wang Han is here to star as the bratty, mischievous, bull-headed troublemaker Xie Xiaoxiao. This solidifies Wang Han as the scream queen of this genre. Like I said earlier, she is born to be in these games. She perfectly knows how to play to the camera and convince you of her conniving, teasing, playful ways. We've seen a lot of good actors by now, but no one has the charisma Wang Han possesses to make this pouty, carefree little shit light up the screen every time she's on shot. And honestly, while we're speaking of standout performances, Zheng Shudong returns to be your best friend yet again, and this time he knocks it out of the park. The relationship between Zheng Ye and Sai Go is written to perfection. Sai Go knows your ultimate goal of finding out who is behind the fire, but in between moments of checking in on the investigation, these two bust each other's balls in the way only two longtime best friends can. There's an immediate chemistry that makes them feel like this could veer off into a buddy cop film at a moment's notice. Zheng Ye and Sai Go solving mysteries and drinking brewskis feels like a natural extension of their time on screen. And you know what the best part of solving the mystery in Love's All Around 2 is? It doesn't happen automatically. At the end of every chapter, Zheng Ye will go over the clues and information he's uncovered, building his own Pepe Sylvia board as the game continues. These scribbles of interests and motivations are not just set dressing, they are expounded on. There's a menu where you can learn more about the items you pick up across the game, uncover the histories of the major players in the story, even learn some of the historical events that lead up to the moment you are in now. You will learn the majority of details as you passively go through the game, but you won't learn everything. When I finished my first run of Love Is All Around 2, I had ample affection to knock out a couple endings, but I still didn't know who was behind the fire. You need to go back through the story and exhaust your options to keep learning more and keep piecing things together if you want to solve the mystery behind who set your clan ablaze. Which ends up having Love Is All Around 2 play its trick on you again. If you watched the original video, I mentioned how Love Is All Around feels like a much fuller game on its first playthrough, but when you go back to find the extra content, it comes off feeling extremely flat. This is something endemic to the genre. I haven't been beating the point home because it's just kind of part and parcel to how these games work, or don't work. But this time, they play the trick of making you believe there's more going on, not with the branching romance, but the mystery. When you go back and find all the other scenes you miss, you do not in fact learn new details you missed on the first playthrough. It's honestly a bit of a bummer because, again, it feels like you have more say in all of this, but it's just the same old illusion that all of these games are casting. That aside, this is the only release in the genre so far I can recommend without any reservations. It is meaty enough to feel like a full game. It is written way more than competently enough. It is dripping with money, showering you in locations, costuming, and action scenes, has absolutely zero lecherous content or leering fan service, rounds out the experience with additional content. Okay, maybe the whack-ass AI chat with the girls is one of the stupidest parasocial things I've ever seen, but I can pretend to not see it hidden away in the corner of the menu. Dude, this game just plain rules. There's no asterisks to this. Love Is All Around 2 is the very first of these games that feels like it fully lives up to the potential of the genre. If there is a part of Love Is All Around 2 that stumbles a bit, I actually think the romance in this game is just passable. And it's extremely backhanded because a lot of these games have a hard time reaching the highs of passable, so this should be something celebrated. But it comes off like a distant second fiddle to the mystery story. Like I said earlier, there's nothing objectifying or leering going on here. Everyone is treated respectfully, which puts it above many of the games we've seen today. But outside of that, there isn't that much of an interesting romance story to find with these characters. Performances? Outstanding. No complaints there. But there is a lack of meat to these stories. I love Xie Xiaoxiao, but that's more because of Wang Han's charisma than the romance journey you go on with the character. The time spent with the girls feels mostly boilerplate. Which again, boilerplate is something many of these games are failing to hit. But for a game that fucking nails everything else, this is the one zone where you can see it's in the shadow of Hello Love 18 Again's character work. There are some standouts here like Anyan or Louis Shishi, but I wish this could be a bit more. I've seen what more looks like, and that's the standard I want to see. That said, I had a blast with Love is All Around 2. It's hard to get across how refreshing it is to see a game that I can recommend with zero reservations. I think anyone could have a good time with this and not leave feeling unimpressed or embarrassed. I think personally I like what Hello Love 18 Again is shooting for more than what Love is All Around 2 successfully lands on, but it's undeniable that this is the crown jewel of the Chinese FMV dating sims so far. If you have even a slight interest in these games, give this a shot. I have grown tired of calling these games Chinese FMV dating sims. It's a mouthful, quite frankly. Also, they are rapidly expanding past China. So I'm going to pretend for a second that I can put my hand on the flow of reality and rename them in a way everyone would immediately understand. Because I think they should be called Luizhan, Mandarin for 6 chapters. Even if I stopped mentioning it, it's suffocating how identical these games are formatted. I can't guarantee all these games have exactly 6 chapters to them, but they functionally all play with the exact same 6-chapter format. 5 chapters with varying levels of girl focus across each chapter, and a 6th chapter where the big final choice is made for your ending selector. There is no variation to this. Everyone is playing in this structure and figuring out what they want to do within this cast mold. And if there's one problem that feels endemic to the genre, it's that the 6-chapter format is stifling. I think we've seen that there are games trying to push on the edges of the genre. There are games that are trying to write better or pack more into the experience. But everything feels like it stares down the wall of the 6 chapters. It either runs into the wall itself or tries to devise the best ways around it. Those releases should be lauded for what they're trying to do, but after looking at so many of them, you can feel the wall winning. This genre isn't running out of juice as far as I can tell. The most recent Steam Next Fest showed me a number of new FMV dating sims on the come up. I didn't play any demos because, are you kidding me? Do I look like I have time to pre-play games? But one that stuck out was Roommates, Romance, and Ringing Hearts. Notable by the fact that TV fucking Asahi is behind the production of it. The massive television network TV Asahi. And looking at that DLC, boy, are they ready to squeeze you for all you're worth. But that's the only notable thing about the game. Other than using that fuck-ass Gen AI, it just looks like every other game doing this. How am I supposed to tell if this is actually worth a damn, or if it's another 5 hearts under one roof? Am I supposed to refer to the Steam reviews? Don't do that! It's like looking at YouTube comments. Despite the amount of games I played for this, I both feel like I have a solid grasp on this genre's offerings, and like I've barely only scratched the surface. There are so many fucking games. The amount of these FMV dating sims being cranked out will boggle your mind. The problem is, I'm not sure how to judge these games without diving in head first. Anything could be a heartbeat in Thailand-sized bomb I'm landing on, or maybe it could be the rare game with good writing. How on earth would I know? And thus, this exercise has left me frustrated. This movement feels like it is predominantly producing schlock, but not exclusively. When you look at the games that are actually doing something interesting and worthwhile, trying to push the genre past its stock standard conventions, there is a hope for more diamonds in the rough. To quote blogger Nutcracker, who runs Full Motion Emotion, with one FMV dating sim releasing, on average, every 9 days, there is a never-ending source for genre fans. Many games fall into that middle zone. Good, but flawed. Full Motion Emotion is one of the few places that actually talks about and reviews these games. Other than, like, the fucking video you're watching right now. I may not fully agree with Nutcracker on some reviews, but this blog is a rare English-speaking resource that you have to help, at the very least, avoid the worst dreck of this genre. There are so many goddamn games, and any help trying to source the needles in the haystack is appreciated. Which is why I might revisit this genre one more time in the future, as a service. There's so much going on here, and the bulk of it kinda sucks. But the times where you find something cool or interesting or well written, it really works. There's a spark here, and with enough of them, you could kick up a small fire of really good games. You might have to lower your expectations a little, and you might have to accept the limitations of the format, but there's a couple you've seen today that are worth your time to play. With any luck, I might be able to return and give you a selection of more releases that take this genre and really do something with it. There are some interesting games out there. It's just a bit of a chore to surf through the chaff to find them. Hopefully today, I've given anyone interested enough to chew on for a while. Oh hell nah, not Yueru and the Oni-chan Bara fit.